Hello, all you beautiful people. If you're here today, that means you're getting ready for the new installment of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Well, a lot has happened for Sabrina and the lovable band of witches, warlocks, mortals over in Greendale.
Since part 3 is such a monumental event, we thought it would be fitting to catch everyone up on all the hairy happenings from part 1 and part 2.
Let's start with the main characters, yeah? Obviously, there's Sabrina. I don't know if you've heard this, but she's a teenager who's also a witch.
Teenage witch, if you will.
She lives with her aunts Hilda and Zelda, as well as her older cousin Ambrose.
Me.
They're all witches and run a mortuary together. There's also you guys, and there's also us.
There's the best friends. The best friends, Roz and Susie. And her boyfriend, Harry.
Harvey.
Whatever.
None of them are witches.
Not at all. They don't even know witches exist, actually.
Other witches include Father Blackwood, the Weird Sisters, aka Prudence, Agatha, and Dorcas, and a bunch more.
I think that covers all the major characters, though, right? Oh, we forgot Salem.
Yeah, Salem.
We forgot Salem, Sabrina's cat, who isn't really a cat, more like a demon of sorts.
And there's Miss Wardwell.
There's
Sabrina's
Wardwell.
teacher, who isn't really her teacher.
Right, but we'll get to that in a second.
Onward to part 1. Sabrina Spellman is a half-witch, half-human orphan who is about to turn 16 on Halloween. Because of the whole half-witch part, her birthday involves something called a dark baptism, which means she will be pledging her soul to the Dark Lord.
AKA Satan.
To be fair, that's a pretty badass Sweet 16. Sabrina is curious about what the ceremony entails, but is torn about going through with it.
I mean, it would require she abandon her mortal friends and break up with sweet Harvey Kinkle, which is a tough ask. He's so sweet.
He's alright. Around the same time, Sabrina's teacher, Miss Wardwell, is killed by Madam Satan, who taken the form of a lost child. And Madam Satan is interested in helping the Dark Lord enlist Sabrina to the path of night.
Which is kind of fucked. Sorry, not great.
Because she is so torn about her upcoming decision.
Sabrina and her family are visited by Father Blackwood, who attempts to convince Sabrina to press on her with plans to be darkly baptized. Father Blackwood is the leader of the Church of Night, basically a bishop to the antipope's pope.
Later on,
Over at the school, the normal human one, a bunch of the jockey asshole guys have been bullying one of Sabrina's best friends on Earth, Susie. Sabrina teams up with the Weird Sisters, and the four proceed to mess with the boys.
To teach them quite a sexy lesson.
I loved that lesson.
And by teach them a lesson, we mean lure them into the mines using a cloaking spell to trick them into making out with each other, and then just scaring the ever-living shit out of them. Normal teen stuff.
But not all is fun and games and sexy spells. No. As the night of Sabrina's baptism has arrived, Sabrina heads to the woods to finally commit to the church and the Dark Lord. But upon seeing the ceremony, which was really weird and totally different than when Father Blackwood said it would be like, and he requires her to sign her name in the Book of the Beasts, which is just like a badass book name, by the way. But she's like, no, thanks, and turns tails and like heads the hell out of there.
Everyone in the church starts chasing Sabrina through the woods, looking to attack her.
If she wasn't into joining your weird cult before, chasing her while covered in animal bones and crap isn't going to warm her up to the idea at all.
So check this, Sabrina's running for her life, and as she approaches her house, Ambrose makes a fake protection spell to like ward them off. So Sabrina yells at the mob that her name is
Sabrina Spellman, and I will
not sign my name.
So the baptism's like definitely over now and the witches are pissed. And it turns out they're gonna sue her and her family. Seems like a really petty thing.
As the trial proceeds, it's revealed by Zelda that Sabrina was actually Catholically baptized, which means her soul had already been promised elsewhere.
And furious, Father Blackwood and the council decide that Sabrina will be allowed to remain partially in the mortal world with her friends and swoon Harvey, so long as she attends the Academy of Unseen Arts. It's basically like witch school. Well, I mean, that's exactly what it is.
So alas, Hilda, who is literally the sweetest British you will ever meet, gets excommunicated from the church for participating in Sabrina's Catholic baptism.
Wait, why are Hilda and Ambrose British and Sabrina and Zelda aren't?
They're witches. Don't worry about it.
Anywho, at the Academy, Sabrina gets a bit of a rough welcome, especially from the Weird Sisters who haze Sabrina with a super creepy ceremony at the behest of Father Blackwood. But she makes friends with, dare I say, a smoke show.
Hey, Oh, also Ambrose goes on an astral projection date with a cute warlock named Luke.
Remember, Ambrose is on house arrest for trying to blow up the Vatican, so that's a whole thing.
Sabrina's friends are on a bit of an adventure of their own. You know, they're going on an investigation into the local mines, which Harvey's family owns, and it leads them to the discovery of a demon, as well as a truly freaky, possessed uncle. Sabrina, elsewhere, solves an arcane riddle, which releases a different demon who is a
Huge jerk. The demon, Batty Bat.
Yeah, it's a good name.
great demon name.
Yeah. Well, Batabat puts the whole Spellman house to sleep, torturing all of them in their own personal ways.
After a whole lot of unfortunate trauma, Sabrina, with the help from Salem, of course, is able to banish the demon.
But not before realizing that Mrs. Wardwell is not all she seems.
You can start by telling me the truth about who and what you are.
Sabrina then confronts Wardwell, who you will remember is actually Lilith.
AKA Madam Satan.
Wardwell claims to have been close with Sabrina's father and charged with looking after her following his death.
Claims. Lies.
Lies, yeah.
I was his acolyte.
She's full of it. Well, after this, Sabrina's friends all start experiencing visions of, you know, Susie's weird uncle.
It's very scary.
And they reach out to Sabrina to discuss. Sabrina quickly realizes that he is, in fact, possessed by the demon Apophis. And with the help of her aunts, they exorcise it from Uncle Jesse. It's left pretty freaked out, but, you know, thankfully unpossessed.
But before anyone celebrates, the very next day, Miss Wardwell kills Jesse with a heart attack. Something witches can just do to people, I guess.
Damn, that's harsh.
And why don't we do that more often? We've got a villain. Oh, it's gone. We've got another villain. Oh no, it's gone.
Because then you don't get to be creative with the magic.
Despite all the calamity surrounding the Spellmans in the past month, they're asked to host the Big Fall Festival that witches apparently have.
The Feast of Feasts.
It's similar to Mortal Thanksgiving, but
The menu is slightly different.
With all things in the witch world, this isn't a normal event. The feast is based around eating another witch, you know.
Cannibalism.
I should warn the audience here that cannibalism is a theme throughout the show, so buckle up.
It comes up a fair bit.
Wait, are we seriously talking about cannibalism?
Cannibalism, man.
Zelda volunteers to enter the lottery, whereby the church picks who gets to be eaten.
What an honor. Who wouldn't want to be eaten?
But the lottery is eventually won by Prudence, the leader of the Weird Sisters, who makes Sabrina her maiden.
Basically her servant until the Feast of Peace.
I'm dying for a warm buttermilk bath. And a plate of macaroons.
So Aunt Hilda bakes a truth cake and serves it to the Blackwoods, where it's revealed that Prudence was selected because she's actually Father Blackwood's daughter, and Lady Blackwood, who is not Prudence's mother, was jealous.
I enchanted the ballot box to favor Prudence's queen.
Extremely petty stuff, if you ask me.
At the Feast of Feasts, Father Blackwood, who knows Prudence is his daughter, cannot go through with the sacrifice. But as he attempts to cancel the event entirely, another witch promptly slits her own throat, and the whole church chows down on her corpse.
It's very, very graphic.
Dude, they're witches. You know?
Yeah.
This is what they do.
Cannibalism.
Well, the next day, two of the Weird Sisters, Dorcas and Agatha, attempt to collapse the local mines, with Harvey and his brother trapped inside.
Luckily, Harvey has a sweet spell of protection over his head thanks to Sabrina and survives unscathed.
His brother, however, is not so lucky.
At Tommy's funeral, Roz discovers that she has this special power to see in the future and the past, called the Cunning. The Cunning. And it shows her the cause of Tommy's death. After Sabrina learns of this, she is apoplectic and sets out to resurrect Tommy, which requires killing Agatha by slitting her throat in a totally brutal and awesome way, therefore replacing Tommy's soul with hers.
But don't worry, Sabrina didn't actually kill Agatha. She uses the Cane Pit, a strange area of the Spellman family cemetery that can resurrect the dead witches, to resurrect Agatha.
Everything's going according to plan.
Things don't go as planned, which, I mean, who didn't see that coming?
Now Agatha starts hacking up dirt, which is not great even for witches, and we learn that she was never meant to be brought back to life. Meanwhile, Tommy is acting super strange.
And we find out that his soul is in limbo, and Sabrina sets out to get him out of there.
But she's too late.
She finds Tommy, she starts running out with Tommy out of limbo, but then she gets out and Tommy's not so lucky and he gets eaten by the Soul Eater.
Uncool thing, but pretty cool name.
Yeah.
And when she returns from mortal limbo, Sabrina finally reveals to Harvey that she's a witch. and also that she needs to kill his brother.
That's why I need to put what's in Tommy's room back.
So Harvey is understandably upset by this information and chooses to kill Tommy himself. He also breaks up with Sabrina, which I mean is fair, but no more Sabrina.
There's that warlock guy. What do you think?
Introducing Nick Scratch.
You think he's cute? Nick Scratch, not
not you?
the actor that plays him, but the character himself.
Yeah, I'd have to say he's probably a ladies' man.
Witches are aces of passion and lust.
Trouble keeps stacking up for Sabrina, so she breaks down and admits to Oz and Susie that she is in fact a witch after Oz has a vision of her doing magic.
Classic friend combo.
Things are really coming to a head now, so Madam Satan is impatient that Sabrina hasn't signed her name in the Book of the Beast, so
Satan is also pissed, so they decide to resurrect the Greendale 13, the witches who were killed by the townsfolk centuries ago. The plan is to basically demolish all the mortals in Greendale.
Because somehow Madam Satan and real Satan figure that even more mayhem and violence will finally convince Sabrina to join the coven.
While all the witches head to the Church of Night to weather this storm, Sabrina and her aunt start a real storm, a tornado actually, to force all the mortals into the local storm shelter, which is Baxter High, and they cast a spell of protection onto it. Protection spells are very, very handy.
Qui effecto protego mixtisque ubis serpentibus episters.
Damn, can I have your number?
Yeah.
Okay, with all this awful stuff going on, Madam Satan convinces Sabrina the only way to fix everything is for her to sign her name in the Book of the Beast, which she really doesn't want to do.
Nevertheless, Sabrina needs more witch power, and promising her soul to Satan is the only way to get it.
So, after a small signing ceremony in the woods, very quaint, Sabrina gains her full witch power. Her hair turns all white, invokes Hellfire, which is really freaking cool and blue, and banishes the Greendale 13 as well as the Angel of Death, and all is right and well.
So while the danger has temporarily passed, we still have Madam Satan,
who in the final moments of part 1 reveals her plan of becoming the Dark Queen of Hell.
And she straight up eats the principal of Baxter High.
She does!
Cannibalism!
Also, Zelda stole one of Lady Blackwood's newborn twins following the lady's death. She just snatched that baby.
She didn't snatch wigs, she didn't snatch candy, she snatched a baby.
Anyways,
the truly big thing that happens is Zelda, realizing she cannot keep baby Letitia hidden from Father Blackwood forever, gives the baby to an elder named Desmelda to raise her in the woods and teach her the ways of being a witch.
All of that, up until this point, was part 1.
Just part 1.
Since we aren't on magical house arrest, let's go get some food and then come back and let's do part 2.
Oh, we get food.
Yeah, let's go
Absolutely, let's go.
Hey everyone, remember us?
Well, since we recapped part 1 of The Adventures of Sabrina, we thought we'd come back and walk everyone through part 2.
We're pretty good at this. Yeah, we're doing a good job.
Let's dive in.
As we open on this chapter in the story, Sabrina decides to drop out of Baxter High and attend the Academy of Unseen Arts full-time.
Well, I'm here, Father. Full-time.
Not only does she decide to attend full-time, I mean, she pretty much immediately decides to run against Nick Scratch in the race for the school's top boy. A truly silly name for what turns out is a pretty serious position.
I don't mind a little competition, especially not when it's so damn cute.
But the witch world is still pretty patriarchal and full of a bunch of terrible misogynists, and her run is met with a lot of scorn and opposition from the warlocks.
That, Nicholas, is a reminder of this competition's only acceptable outcome.
And because this is Greendale, she's attacked by a trio of demons known as the Plague Kings, who were sent to prevent her from reaching the top spot.
Meanwhile, at Baxter High, Miss Wardwell, who is actually Madam Satan if you recall, has killed the principal and taken the job for herself. Because that is how you destroy the patriarchy, people!
And Susie, who has been on a journey of self-discovery, goes by Theo now. Theo decides to try out for the boys' basketball team, facing criticism from the coach and endless taunts from the other boys.
And you're short and you can't shoot for shit.
Okay, you know what, blockheads? I took you on once. I'm not afraid to do it again.
Sabrina secretly visits, or I guess spies. She spies on her friends at Baxter High, and upon hearing about Theo's challenges, helps him to win his basketball tryout. So she later gives Theo a rope charm, but he uses it improperly and breaks the leg of the boy who is teasing him in the locker room. Sabrina's still getting used to her newly strengthened powers following the fateful signing of her name in the Book of the Beast, and maybe overcharm the rope just a little bit.
And back in the witch world, Zelda asks
Father Blackwood to go public with their relationship, or more accurately, affair. Yes, affair.
I don't particularly care what a gaggle of withered hags thinks about me.
Anyway, he says no, he doesn't want to be Instagram official, and Zelda says no more nookie nookie until he changes his mind.
That is, until you're ready to make us legitimate.
And because insecure witch relationships are apparently pretty common, a jealous Miss Wardwell also demands to know what the Dark Lord's plans are for Sabrina.
The Dark Lord then reveals his plans to make Sabrina his herald. But Miss Wardwell doesn't believe Sabrina is capable of assuming the role and challenges Satan to prove the true nature of Sabrina's soul.
So, the Dark Lord appears to Sabrina. He demands her to steal a pack of gum.
That is all.
You know, it seems like a small ask, but as we all know, there's more going on than meets the eye. Sabrina, however, refuses, returning to Baxter High for classes and practicing for a play at the academy instead.
Furious, the Dark Lord mars Sabrina with a witch's mark.
What the hell?
Makes her friends in Salem extremely sick and threatens to hurt Harvey. And demands that Sabrina burn down Baxter High, which he thinks represents her attachment to the mortal world.
Can she actually go through with it?
Yeah.
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 But Satan only really wanted to see if she would do it, so he stops Sabrina before she drops the fateful match, thank goodness. And as a reward, he gives her the leading role in the Academy play, or more accurately, gives Dorcas chickenpox, so she can't do the play anymore.
That role should be yours.
Not only is Sabrina now the lead of the play, but most importantly, Sabrina's also getting pretty hot and heavy with Nick, which, is just nice.
I would have to agree.
Valentine's Day is bearing down on Greendale, and while mortal teens like Harvey and Roz, who are now dating, head to the Sweethearts dance at Baxter, Sabrina and Nick prepare for Lupercalia, a kind of like witch Valentine's Day that involves a lot of smookiness.
Smookiness?
Smoochiness. Smoochiness. A lot of sex.
Abstinence is encouraged.
But this is complicated by Nick's familiar, a werewolf who is very into Nick weirdly and very jealous of Sabrina.
Run!
Sabrina eventually has to kill it. It's never a good way to kick off a romance.
Also, Father Blackwood takes the opportunity to propose to Zelda.
You're proposing marriage.
It is the Dark Lord's will.
Congratulations, Zelda!
Congrats, Zelda.
Congrats.
Congrats. Even though Blackwood is kind of a, misogynistic asshole.
And Hilda has her own romance going on with her boss down at the bookstore where she works, who is currently controlled by an incubus.
As insane as it must sound to someone who has no knowledge of the satanic,
Ambrose catches a really, really shitty break.
Since Luke is dead, Father Blackwood asks Ambrose to join his private club. It's known simply as the Judas Society.
That name seems like a red flag.
Full steam ahead, on Zelda and Father Blackwood's wedding.
Choo-choo!
Despite the protests from Sabrina and the Weird Sisters, who all have different reasons for stopping this unholy union.
You're 16. What do you know about love?
Nonetheless, the wedding moves forward, and it's announced that the anti-pope himself will be officiating. Hilda was re-accepted into the church, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that is good. And we also see Lilith, or Madam Satan, still disguised as Miss Wardwell, of course, vow to move forward with her plans to drive Sabrina to the Dark Lord.
So later that evening, as she is talking to Nick, an apparition of Sabrina's father appears before her and warns her that Father Blackwood was responsible for crashing the plane that he and her mother were on, and they died.
Of course, this apparition is just Mrs. Wardwell, who proceeds to tell Sabrina that her father had been on his way to Rome to present his manifesto to the anti-pope. So of course Sabrina is like, oh man, I absolutely have to get this back.
And then she sends Nick through a portal to retrieve it from the middle of the ocean. Somewhere just out in the middle of the ocean. And I'd fight a giant squid.
Anything for you.
After she gets the manifesto, Sabrina approaches the anti-pope with it, and he is actually pretty cool about the whole thing and agrees to give it serious consideration as a potential new direction for the church. Obviously, this pisses off Father Blackwood, and he ominously vows that Sabrina's document will never be implemented.
And that night, while Prudence is plotting to kill her father, because she's mad that he won't give her his last name, screaming breaks out in Blackwood's home. And it's revealed that someone hacked the anti-pope to death. As we quickly learn, Ambrose is going to get framed for this, and Blackwood's going to be the temporary anti-pope.
At the wedding, which is still happening despite the murder of the anti-pope literally hours before, Sabrina and Nick magically disguise themselves as Sabrina's parents and accuse Father Blackwood of murder! Murderer!
But it doesn't work, and they are taken away. Sabrina gets expelled from the academy.
It was all I could do to persuade Faustus not to lock you in the dungeon too.
So even more bad news. The witch hunter who killed Luke, Jarathmiel, I know, weird name. He comes back to town and he sets upon the academy with his band of missionaries who are actually like murderous angels, and they attempt to take out as many witches and warlocks as they possibly can.
Witch hunter!
After taking the captives back to their church, the missionaries prepare to burn them at the stake. But Sabrina, who now has the power of the Dark Lord pumping through her, shows up and soars through their arrows. Her eyes get all white and crazy and awesome, and she blasts all the hunters into dust. It's so cool.
This really feels like a tipping point for Sabrina. I mean, she's full badass now.
She's full tilt.
And it shows.
Sabrina was like unto a god.
She even uses her new powers to heal Ambrose, who was like very badly wounded by the hunters.
So at Ambrose's trial, Sabrina exposes Blackwood to the Dark Lord, their fancy new powers, who admonishes him and frees Ambrose.
Blackwood is stripped of his temporary status as anti-pope.
You displease the Dark Lord, Father Blackwood.
And Sabrina commits to fulfilling her father's dream of uniting the witch and mortal worlds.
Father Blackwood is still hella pissed about the whole anti-pope thing and imprisons Zelda for betraying him.
Finally, he goes about reforming the Church of Night into a new church, the Church of Judas. Imagine that.
All the changes are super sexist and authoritarian and just suck in general if you're not a man.
Yeah.
Now, remember those pesky mines this guy's family owns? Well, while down there, Harvey and Theo, they find this mural that shows Sabrina, our Sabrina, bringing forth the apocalypse as Satan's right hand. Not the most ideal prophecy to stumble upon.
Next, Madame Sateman advises Sabrina that if she creates a mandrake doppelganger, she can transfer her witch powers to it, then kill it, destroying her powers forever.
But making the prophecy of a half-witch, half-mortal, destroying the world, impossible.
And do look into the mandrake spell. It could be just the ticket.
Because the Mandrake clone immediately escapes and kidnaps Sabrina's friends, which culminates in Sabrina killing her clone in a very dramatic old-school pistol duel in the forest.
Killing herself.
Sabrina completes the final component of the whole bring forth the Dark Lord thing, and sure enough, here he comes. And according to that pesky prophecy, she will rule at his side.
Now that the Dark Lord has returned in his super hot, angelic form, and has Sabrina as his queen, he tells her very Darth Vader style that he is her father.
Edward Spellman isn't your father. I am.
What?
Super twist.
Yeah.
Super big plot twist. It's like, whoa!
Yeah.
I'm your father. Understandably, Lilith is absolutely spitting with anger, and over this whole power structure worked out, and moves to betray him with some unlikely partners, Spellmans.
Well, that's good. But the Dark Lord is still enacting his plan to bring about end times, and attempts to open the gate to hell, which is, of course, in those goddamn mines.
Dude, they're full of it.
Now, Sabrina has a plan to trap the Dark Lord in something called the Acheron configuration.
But an Acheron is only as strong as the magics and the binding spell behind it.
As a last-ditch attempt, Nick sacrifices himself
gallantly
to trap the Dark Lord in his own body through some complicated witch magic. Anyways, the Dark Lord is trapped there and Nick is totally gone.
With that part of the whole apocalypse thing taken care of, Lilith assumes the role of Queen of Hell. She's taking the weird Satan and Nick's old body situation with her, and she also restores Sabrina's powers, all the cool ones. I mean, like, all the badass stuff that she was doing. And she resurrects Miss Wardwell to her original body.
With a woman running the show now, Father Blackwood goes on the run and Zelda takes over the Church of Night and Academy, where they now worship Lilith and do away with all that dumb misogynistic crap.
And in the final scenes, we see Ambrose and Prudence set off to hunt Father Blackwood, and Sabrina vowing to bring Nicholas back from hell.
Let's go to hell and get my boyfriend back.
And there it is. We did it.
Damn, we're killing it, dude.
You are all 100% primed and ready for some sweet Part 3 Sabrina action. Enjoy.